Ari, I got that work, now rock out.
Get a logo done for the channel. And when I originally told this person what I wanted the logo to look like, I wasn't sure, because I'm never really sure how their vision is going to come from the words that I describe, because I can't draw, so I can't like draw an example, be like something like this, and then let them tweak it. This was literally me describing in words what I see in my mind, and hoping that whoever I ask is able to come up with a concept that I really like and that I'm going to be able to use. And I must say, this one came out even better than I expected, to be honest. Even better than what I had initially envisioned. But it's like it took my vision times 10, and like it came out really good. So I'm about to put it up here, and then I will kind of give you guys a little bit of explanation of where the idea and kind of what I was thinking when I was trying to come up for this logo. But here is the new logo. And first off the bat, I love the color contrast. Like the way the colors are broken up in here, in different places, whether it's on what we use in that sport, a certain player, a certain part, and then there is the main athlete, which I have in the center. She has the Roman numeral 9 on her chest, and that is for a representation of Title 9, which is the beginning of getting resources for women athletes in college. Title 9. Title 9 will have its own episode, but that's what the Roman numeral for 9 up there is for. It's for Title 9. And then on the shorts, she has 1996, and then there's the Olympic rings on the other side, because the 1996 Olympics is also a key marker to me in women's sports as a whole, and not just one sport in particular, but women's sports, women athletes as a whole. That 1996 Olympics was huge. And like I said, Title IX and 1996 Olympics will have an episode of its own, because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to those two. But that's what was in my mind, because of this channel is women's sports, the world of women's sports. And so I wanted to marker key points in women's sports history. And those two are two huge pieces of the journey. But we'll get more into those later. Now, all in the background is different representations of different sports. So you can see the volleyball, you see the basketball, you see the tennis racket, you see the track athlete. And then you also have different women back there as well. And so what this represents is options and accessibility. And when those things were worked on and improved, that's when the world of women's sports exploded. And so there it is. That's the logo for Welcome Home, and it came out fantastic, and I've already put it in a couple places, and I can't wait to add it to more stuff. But I hope you guys like it. I think it's a fantastic representation of what this channel is about, why I'm doing this channel, and it represents a little bit of my passion for women's sports across the entire journey, at least as far back as I can remember. And so, like I said, Title IX, 1996 Olympics, there will be episodes for those specifically, because like I said, there's a lot to cover when it comes to both of those. But that's why they are in the logo. So I hope you guys like the logo. Definitely, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them in the chat. But That's the logo, y'all. I'm super excited for it. Alright, so here we go. Welcome home, everybody. Here we are, official episode 1 of Welcome Home. Let's talk women's sports. And we got a lot to update on today. It's been a busy, probably week. So definitely got a lot to update on a lot of different sports and a lot of different levels. So first thing we will discuss is the women's Final Four just ended this weekend, right? And as you guys know, in the Final Four, it was UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas. And of those Final Four, UConn and South Carolina made it to the championship game. Now, going in, I felt that either team could win. What was surprising was just how lopsided the game was. And I was definitely rooting for South Carolina because I'm a Dawn Staley fan. I love what she's been doing for the game pretty much her entire career, from college to the WNBA to Team USA and to what she's been building in South Carolina. So I was rooting for South Carolina. But I was definitely very surprised at their performance. And, things happen. It is what it is. So congratulations to UConn. Paige Bueckers got her national championship. UConn won championship number 12. Like I said, they've been dominant in the women's college game for as long as I can remember. So that's why I said it was no surprise that they came out with victory. I was definitely just surprised at how lopsided it was. I was expecting a much closer game than what we got. But, these things happen. Like I said, congratulations to UConn. And also on the NCAA women's topic, there's been a lot of players entering the transfer portal. I don't know what the exact number is now, but I know leading up to the championship, they were already at over 1,000 players entering the transfer portal. I don't know if there's ever been that many that fast, because I feel like transferring schools wasn't as common before. And it feels like recently, within like the last, I would say 5 or 6 years, there's been a lot more happening in the transfer portals at the end of the tournament, which every player has a right to make that decision that where they are is not where they want to be and try to transfer somewhere else. It's just, some of them have been surprises, some of them not so much. Some schools got hit harder than others, so we'll see how that fully shakes out. There's a few players who, instead of going into the WNBA draft, they're using their last year of eligibility to play one more season in college. So the draft is going to look a little bit different than everyone anticipated during the college season. So we'll see how that finally shakes up when we go over the list of people that are actually entered into the WNBA draft. But that is NCAA. Again, congratulations to all the teams that have made it to the Final Four, and congratulations to UConn for winning their 12th national championship. Congratulations. All right, so then we'll move on to soccer. The National Women's League was on international break this previous week, and a lot of the players were actually playing on Team USA or whatever their actual national team is. And the USA played 2 friendly matches against Brazil. The first game they won 2-0. The second game they lost 1-2. So this is a string of a bunch of friendly matches that they're doing in between time usually before the World Cup season. So they'll have a bunch of these over the next couple months. I think the next one is at the end of the month. Depending on where you live, A few of these friendly matches will occur in your area. So if you like soccer, definitely look it up and possibly get tickets and go to a game and see the women's national soccer team play. I think early in May they'll pick up with the NWSL games. So if you have a team in your area, also try to get tickets to their games as well. Their games are a lot of fun. I've already been to a couple Washington Spirit games, and I've had a blast at all of them. And unfortunately, I don't have a ton of gear for the other leagues yet. So I'm always going to be wearing something related to women's sports. But right now, a lot of it's going to have to do with basketball because that's where most of my gear and jerseys is. But I'm working on getting more gear from soccer, from hockey, and all the other leagues that have been started so that I can have a little bit more representation when it comes to the merchandise. But that is where soccer is right now. And then we move on to hockey, which I was doing the information. I'm like, they're on an international break too. So apparently there's a tournament going on for international for hockey right now. So they're on break until the 26th for their regular games. But they are very close to playoff time for the league here. So I have the standings. At number 1, you got Montreal. Number 2, Toronto. Boston at 3. Ottawa at 4. Minnesota at 5. And New York at 6. There's only 6 teams in the league. There is 4 playoff spots. And right now, Montreal is the only one who's locked in their playoff position based on their points. A lot of the other teams are within 1 point of each other. So after the international break, it'll be interesting to see if there's any movement or shift in where the other teams are in the league. So that was something interesting that I found out today because I didn't know that hockey would also have an international break. But like I said, they'll start up games again on the 26th. So I'll keep you guys updated on that as well. All right, move ahead, and actually I'm gonna do my book segment for now because the next 2 pieces I want to switch over so we can watch some highlights and stuff. So before we do that, again, our book for the month is Dead Black Girls: How to Be True to You by Asia Wilson. Last week we did a little excerpt, so I'm going to do a new one today. Alright, here we go. It says, let's see, where do I want to start? Okay, here we go. As a young woman, all you want is to be seen and heard by somebody else. Dawn Staley saw me. And don't get me wrong, Coach was not a softie. Dawn Staley is Philly through and through. When we were on the court, she would be calling me out in front of the entire team if she thought I was mailing it in. There were days when she would be like, "Hey, 22, get 22 off the floor. Get her out of the gym. She doesn't deserve to be here." She wasn't joking. She would literally kick me out the gym. I would come in her office with my hands up in the air, shaking my head, tears welling up in my eyes, and she'd say, "You were blending in. You're a star. You need to be taken over. If I see you out there blending in, fading into the background, hiding, I'm kicking you out the gym." That's the thing about Dawn Staley and about all great mentors. They defy an easy explanation. Dawn let me cry on her shoulder. She let me vent. She let me grieve. She protected me from evils of the world, but she also challenged me to be great. Now, I picked that because, in a sense, I can relate to kind of being invisible and letting yourself be in the background. And for a while, I definitely was okay with just like being in the background of stuff. Especially growing up, not wanting to truly ruffle too many feathers or do too much. I was definitely okay with being in the background. And part of me not doing that was me starting this show slash podcast for women's sports. Because like Asia, I have two people who have been after me for a few years now about like what I should be contributing as far as what I've been trying to do ever since I got into the streaming space. And women's sports has always been at the front end of my mind of kind of what I wanted to always be a part of, whatever channel I was doing, no matter what it was. And with my main channel, me playing the WNBA on 2K was one of the ways that I did it, because I could play the game and talk about those players in real life, those teams, and what was going on, and kind of relate it that way. Whereas now, doing this show, I'm trying to do that and more on a larger scale. Providing more information, more outlets, bringing up books by players and coaches, talking about all the sports, not just basketball, but just women athletes in general, and how things have just kind of exploded for women athletes. I would say in the last 10 years, it's really been on a larger scale as far as what we can see, what we can find, accessibility, merchandising, and just stuff just being available with social media, with YouTube, people being able to put things on their own channel, teams having their own channels, even getting better TV deals for college and professional sports. Now, we're not all the way there, but it's definitely much better than it was, I would say, 10 years ago, where it was even harder to have access to games, whether it was on TV, whether it was live, whether it was college, professional. And so we're definitely in a much better spot as far as representation and accessibility. And so that's been great to see the changes, I would say, over the last 25 years. I was probably like 11 or 12, right when like things kind of started, and it was like, boom, women's sports is here. And over that 20 years, like, the availability and accessibility has grown tremendously. And so that's part of the reason I picked that passage of a lot of us have different things in our lives that we can contribute. And some of us are always very comfortable to just put ourselves in the spotlight no matter what's going to happen. And others are like me, and at times like Asia, where we've kind of let ourselves fade into the background and just kind of observed. And at some point, those observers eventually kind of step into the spotlight and try to put something else in the forefront, whether it's a different narrative, a different perspective. And it's not about being like trying to be better than blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it's literally just making that perspective available for others that maybe they didn't know was there, they didn't see it. So if you feel like sometimes you hide in the shadows, I challenge you to step out of the shadows and out of your comfort zone to do whatever it is that's been on your heart and mind for you to do, whether it's at work, whether it's in the streaming space, whether you're still playing sports and you're an athlete and you need to be more of a leader, do that too. So this can be something you can take advantage of in different aspects of your life. All right. But that was my little piece from Dear Black Girls, How to Be True to You by Asia Wilson, for this episode. I told you every episode will have an MVP, which is my most valuable person. and it's going to be somebody from anywhere within the women's sports world, any sport, player, coach, whatever. Last week, it was Ari Chambers. This week, we are going with Mia Hamm. Mia Hamm, one of the best soccer players in the history of soccer. Now, I personally didn't play soccer, but I really enjoy watching soccer. And Mia Hamm was one of the first people that I learned about and really enjoyed watching. So we'll go with a few of her accolades, and then I'll see if I can find some highlights for her. But one of the best soccer players out there, collegiate, international, professional, whatever level you want to think of, she is at the top of the list as far as one of the best soccer athletes out there. So she played 17 years as a part of Team USA. That's a long time, y'all. That's consistency. But her collegiate years, she played at the University of North Carolina, and they won the championship each of her 4 years there. And from what I got over her college career, she scored 103 goals. I couldn't find any other numbers, so hopefully that's correct. And then she won the World Cup in 91 and 99. And then she won the gold medal in 96 and 2004. Now, her total of international goals is 158. And for a while, she was the number one as far as scoring international goals. Now, Abby Wambach eventually took over that record, but she did have that record for a while for most international goals. She retired from the sport in 2004, and she has Mia Hamm Foundation, which is for bone marrow research because she lost her brother due to some complications from bone marrow transplants. So her foundation does a lot of research on bone marrow and then the procedure and anything that may come about because of the procedure. So she's big in doing that foundation as well. And then she actually played 3 years with the Washington Freedom, which was the Washington team in the league before the NWSL, which we'll go over the attempts of leagues before the current ones that we have now. But she definitely played in DC for a few years, and that was very exciting. I actually got to one of those games. I told you, anytime there's a team in DC for women's sports, I gotta get to a game. I don't care what else is going on. I gotta get to at least one game to show my support. But that is the MVP for today. Mia Hamm, one of the best soccer players in the world of soccer. On all levels, she has been successful and been a great teammate. Like, everybody who's played with her has nothing but great things to say, and that is why this week she is our most valuable person. If you don't know who she is, definitely look her up. There's a ton of information about her career and what she's doing now in the sports world and women's soccer. So I definitely have a little Mia Hamm pop. Let me see if I can get it. Yes. Sorry, the song is probably gonna have a little glare on it, but I definitely had to cop my Mia Hamm pop. She wore number 9 when she was on Team USA. It's so cute. And so Mia Hamm, y'all, is the MVP for this week. Turn my PC down a little bit. Make sure the video is up. Okay. Mia Hamm, y'all. Happy Wampa. Fire that in there. That was a nice cross. Bow. One-on-one. Oof. Rockets. Boom. Oh wow. That one was crazy. That is a crazy shot. Oh, what a nice pass. Did that go through the goalie's legs? That was weird. I think it did go through the goalie's legs. Oh, double cross. Let's go. Swoop. Swoop. That was nice. Mm. This crazy, like how close the goalie can be to some of hers, and they still just don't get it. Just...
Ce but inscrit face à la Russie le 18 septembre 1998 à New York n'est pas forcément le plus beau de la carrière de Hamm, bien que la frappe soit sublime, mais il est symbolique dans la mesure où c'est son centième soir de
Oh, that was her 100th goal.
1998, Mia Hamm est déjà la meilleure buteuse de l'histoire de sa sélection avec 100 buts, talonnée par sa coéquipière Michelle Akers, auteur de 97 réalisations. Mia Hamm devient du même coup la troisième joueuse de l'histoire à atteindre la barre des 100 buts en sélection, derrière les Italiennes Carolina Moracce, 105 buts, et Elisabetta Vignotto, 107 buts, toutes deux déjà retraitées à l'époque. En 2019, plus de 20 ans après, ce ne sont pas moins de 17 joueuses qui ont franchi la barre des 100 buts en sélection, dont 7 joueuses américaines. Pour en revenir à cette frappe puissante face à la Russie, elle nous rappelle que Mia avait une force de frappe redoutable, comme en témoignent ces deux coups francs sublimes. Le second but sur lequel nous allons nous arrêter est dans la lignée du premier, puisqu'il s'agit de la 108e réalisation.
Oh, yeah, that's when she got the record.
Un but inscrit le 22 mai 1999 face au Brésil, synonyme de record absolu pour la double championne du monde qui détrône ainsi Elisabetta Vignotto et ses 107 réalisations avec l'Italie. A noter qu'à l'époque, aucune joueuse ou joueur n'avait atteint cette barre des 108 buts en sélection. Encore aujourd'hui, le seul footballeur homme à avoir atteint les 100 buts en sélection est l'Iranien Ali Daei en 2004. Outre son aspect symbolique, ce but face au Brésil
That is a lot of goals.
car il est magnifique dans sa construction. Tout part d'une passe de Michelle Akers, déviée de la tête par Mia Hamm en direction de Christine Lilly, qui transmet à Cindy Parlow, elle-même auteure d'une sublime.
Yeah, that was a nice pass back.
Qui glisse le ballon entre les jambes de la gardienne. Splendide. Moins symbolique que décisif, le but inscrit par Mia Hamm face au Canada.
That was a crazy goal.
Women's Golden Cup en 2002. À cette époque, la règle du but en or est encore de mise. C'est la raison pour laquelle ce lob inscrit pendant la prolongation à la 94e minute de jeu signe la fin du match. Avec ce nouveau succès en finale, les États-Unis remportent leur 5e Golden Cup en autant de participations sans n'avoir jamais perdu le moindre match au cours de ces 5 tournois. Et je souhaitais finir cette vidéo en repassant rapidement sur ce dernier but qui a été inscrit lorsque Mia Hamm jouait encore dans le championnat universitaire avec son équipe des Tar Heels de Caroline du Nord. Il n'est pas si fréquent de voir des joueuses réaliser 3 feintes de frappe d'affilée qui fonctionnent. Du coup, ce but m'a un peu fait penser, dans une moindre mesure bien sûr, à celui de Zlatan Ibrahimovic, l'Ajax Amsterdam contre Breda. J'ai donc pensé qu'il y avait un peu de Mia Hamm dans ce but de Zlatan, et non l'inverse.
Oral health product. For who takes home the $200,000.
Just give me my money.
And that was the other thing. Like, their teammates actually got money if they won 1v1. That is crazy.
Score first is 16-3.
Wow.
Edwards working on the high post. Off 1 foot. Jumper strong. Outlet passers on each wing. Enrique for 3. Passers on defensive rebounds can be used as kickouts, and then once the player accepts the
long days, and that's a major part of it, especially how physical this has become.
Well, Enrique told us this morning, I'm prepared to bang, absorbs the contact.
Oh yeah, they was beating each other up.
That's a key part of this game. All of that other stuff is cool and all, but you gotta make it go and make the shot.
Edwards faces up, crossover game. 1 on the shot clock.
That was hooping in the 1v1, man. And one. She held on for so long. Ain't no way. Yeah, was hooping. That was our rookie for the Washington Mystics. About to be a sophomore season. Fee's fadeaway is so sweet. Her mid range and that fadeaway is nice. Almost pushed her out of bounds. I think people forget how tired you get in the 1v1s. Ooh. Buckets. Okay, Fee. Oh, they want to say 8 in the finals. I didn't realize that. And the finals is the best of 3. That was a nice block. Oh, she didn't get it off in time. A fade away. Pretty much. And 1. That's game.
One of these people uses the new Colgate Total Active Prevention System. It's 15 times more effective at fighting
Game 2. Edwards came to play. She was trying to win that money. Oof. I was definitely tired by this game.
here in this tournament.
That's tough.
Moving on.
Game 3.
First to 8 wins $200,000. Collier lost game 1, won game 2. Off to a good start using 2-0 lead. Collier, exceptional energy, all things considered. Skying for the rebound, Aaliyah Edwards. Looking to defeat her third 1-seed opponent in this tournament.
But I make it to this round. I already know half of the money is spent. I already know what I'm doing with 100K of the 200. We heard you were trying to get in this tournament.
Yet, but she has lived up to this moment. Collier from the line, 4-0 lead.
She is money from the mid range.
Collier, got the step, gallops by, but missed the leg.
That's a big pass.
Can Edwards take advantage of it?
Oh, she traveled.
Look good, but the trap. Game to 8. Collier within 4.
Oof.
Let's
Sheesh.
floor knowing that you're beat. And the refs is saying it's getting a little too handsy up there at half court.
And unless you're doing it just to catch a little bit more of a breather.
No, but to your point, it's kind of like end of the game situations where you want to save your foul and tactfully do it.
Game to 8. Collier spinning, firing, looking, queen.
Dang. You could tell Edwards was tired though. She definitely ran out of gas.
Umpire Longa Burns. Rose with the first
3v3.
of the Unrivaled championship. Bray had 39, a new single game high. Sykes leads him home.
Rose was my team because of course they got Brittany Sykes, who is a Washington Mystic player. And then they got the point guard, Chelsea Gray. So I felt like I couldn't go wrong with Team Rose.
Howard chiseling, pull up, good. Missed it off the right side, trying to collapse in for the offensive rebound. 3-on-2 for Miles, should have pushed. Canada in the paint, roaming and scoring. Hammy goes to work. Now 4 points. Each starter has scored for Miles. Picked off by Hammy. Down the way. I think Spoon is ready to give it to Jordan Canada. And just the emotion, the love she has for this group. It's shining. Rose ties it up. Brittany Sykes for 2. 10-all.
Still block shots.
Bray walks into a 3. That one's good. She's on the board.
You're seeing more.
Chelsea Gray.
Sweet and spicy. Cleared by Boston. Here comes Aaliyah Boston in front tree.
Okay, Leah Boston.
Won it back with South Carolina. 2022 two-time National Player of the Year. Aaliyah Boston.
Look at that pass. Chelsea Gray,
That's what the point guard does.
one of the more masterful passers in this game.
That was her total in the semifinals against Laces yesterday. Boston looking to carve. Boston to spin. Great start for Boston off the pine. 8 to fire for Gray. Burrell takes away the mid-range. Screen, Hillman. Gray draws 2.
Ooh, nice block.
Having Nas Philbin on the floor has been excellent for Rose, and they had an opportunity, remember, to pitch a player the same way.
Hillman picks up the foul. Gray back in. 23 minutes in the semifinals last night against Laces. Ryan Howard on the other side. 6 minutes.
I love it. And again, she's getting to her spots down low, able to finish over the top.
Nice.
One by 2. Gray to orchestrate. Stevens on a blow by. Azure Stevens finds space. Final 1 for 6 from distance. Howard has one of them.
Hmm.
Second. That was deep. Missed last night's semifinal and still without Alia Copper. Their 2 other leading scorers behind Gray. That's a tough take. In the paint by Ryan Howard. She's got 10.
Right time. I hear it. Man, Howard.
Sykes.
I hear it. Man, Howard.
The spin on the pass. Gray's got 6 assists. Passes up the 3. Touch pass. Sykes.
Oh, I can't wait to watch her again this season for the Mystics. The point guard. Oh! Wait a second. Where was she at when she took that shot? Talk about getting the shooter's role. Yo. Alright, I'm gonna pause it here for a second because this is one of the differences with this league as well. After 3 quarters, the 4th quarter is not a full quarter technically. They pick a certain point total, and whichever team gets there first wins the game. So the team that's down has the potential to still win the game. As you can see at the bottom of the screen right now, the winning score is 62 points. So even though Vinyl is at 49, if they somehow manage to get to 62 before Rose, they would win. And so that's one of the differences with the league as well. Even though there's a lot, that's just one of them. Sykes. Oof. That's a tough shot. That's a tough shot. Woo. Canada is fast. And one. Let's go, Sykes. Buckets. And Rose wins the championship. But yeah, so that was Unrivaled, which they have 3v3, which they have a season. And then they had the 1v1, which I think was done over a course of a couple days. So that was a nice kind of change of pace compared to the 5v5. So I think it was a lot of fun to watch. And I think it's going to make the WNBA season interesting because people that were playing with each other will now be on their respective teams. So I think it'll create some interesting storylines between the seasons, which will be cool. But I definitely think there'll be some changes for the next Unrivaled season because I think a lot of the games, especially during the regular season, were won by like a random free throw. So I foresee them changing that, like you have to win by like an actual basket and not a free throw. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they'll keep it. But I think that might be one change that we see But the first season was definitely successful for a lot of reasons. So we'll see what type of things they adjust or change for season 2 of Unrivaled, which of course will probably be the same time next year after the WNBA season has gone through. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust from the things that they did in season 1. It was definitely very exciting to watch, and it's nice to have that in between time between the WNBA seasons. So it was definitely fun to watch. Like as you can see, you can catch the highlights of all the games on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel which they uploaded every single game from the season, so you can definitely rewatch the whole season on YouTube if you want. But that was the recap of Unrivaled, which went from January to March, 3v3, and Team Rose won the first championship. The 1v1 was won by Nafisa Collier. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart are the two main owners / creators of the league. So it's definitely going to be pretty cool to see how it grows and develops over the next couple years. All right, and so that is the recap of Unrivaled. All right, and before I get out of here, I'll recap everything that we talked about today. Big congratulations to UConn and South Carolina for making it to the championship game for women's college basketball. Congratulations to UConn for actually winning and taking home the trophy. The women's soccer league is on international break. They just recently played Brazil twice. They won one, lost the other. They'll be back from break soon, and we'll cover their regular season games. Hockey is also on international break, and their games will resume on the 26th, and we'll see how their playoff race looks over the next month or two. Mia Hamm was our most valuable person, one of the greatest soccer players to play soccer, and just an amazing person all around. And then, of course, we had our little chat from Dear Black Girls, Asia Wilson, that I booked for this month. And so, reminder to not hide in the shadows, but step on out in the front. Be bold, be you. It's like all of us generally have one or two people in our corner that are pushing us. So definitely, step out into that light, and share whatever your passion and where you are. And then I think that was everything for today. Unrivaled. So that is most of the updates for today's episode. We also showed you guys the new logo, which I'll show you again, which I think it came out really, really good. And as usual, if anybody has any questions or someone they want covered, a lead they want covered, a player they want covered, please leave them in the comments on YouTube. I will definitely be checking those so that I can add those things into the episodes as we move forward. So anybody within the world of women's sports, we're going to cover it all. Players, coaches, whoever. So definitely, because I know I don't know everybody, so feel free to leave suggestions in the comments on YouTube. Please just leave a name or a team name. I will do my research. But that is going to be today's episode for the most part. All right. So before I get out of here, try to end and start the same way as always. So before you guys go, I always want to leave you with the goal of this community, which is educate, appreciate, support, and promote women's sports. The goal of Welcome Home and myself, Lady Blue Fames: educate, appreciate, support, and promote women's sports. So, welcome home. I'll catch y'all next time.